We've all heard some bad and even controversial pieces of all-inclusive resort advice over the years, and today I'm sharing all of it with you guys. Hey everyone, it's Vanessa and welcome back to Passport Pages. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I've heard, and I'm sure you guys have as well, a lot of resort advice that people give as blanket statements, that it should just apply to everyone all the time. But that's just not true. Everyone's vacation needs vary, so what might be great advice for some might be the worst advice for others. But some of it is just plain wrong, and a lot of people who spread this advice usually have very little travel experience or maybe some type of financial motivation. It's just not good. But I'm presenting this to you as a regular traveler myself and sharing all the worst all-inclusive resort advice I've heard over the years and what you should do instead. So let's get right into it. So the first piece of all-inclusive resort advice I want to talk about is adults-only all-inclusives are great for honeymoons. So this is one of those pieces of advice that should not be used as a general statement, because while yes, some are, others most definitely are not. So most honeymooning couples are looking for a quiet, romantic atmosphere, maybe privacy is a priority, you'd like to enjoy high-quality meals and good service, and some of the adults-only all-inclusives that are great for that type of vibe are Sanctuary Cap Cana, Excellence Playa Mujeres, LeBlanc, especially the one in Cabo. I've talked about all of these and many others in my reviews that make for great romantic and honeymoon resorts in an adults-only atmosphere. But then there are some adults-only all-inclusives that have a different focus. Perfect example, Body Holiday in St. Lucia, which I've talked about before in my reviews. Wonderful all-inclusive, it really is. And for a regular vacation, I highly recommend it. And on paper, it's even perfect for honeymoons. Beautiful setting in a very secluded location, tons of inclusions for a stress-free honeymoon, but the focus here is very much fitness and activities, tons of classes and even fitness regimes. And while that might be a dream honeymoon for some, most couples just want to relax and enjoy each other in a romantic setting. And this is definitely not that. And there are many other adults-only resorts that fall into this category. They're great in general, but probably not ideal for a honeymoon. And that's where I come in, and it's why I always focus on the atmosphere and vibe of resorts, and even the type of guests each one is ideal for. Because an all-inclusive might look great at first glance, but you really need to research and find out what a resort actually offers to make sure you don't waste money, and even worse, ruin your honeymoon. Next piece of advice, don't expect all-inclusives to be as good a deal as before the pandemic. And this is going to be one of the more controversial ones we'll discuss because there's no question that yes, prices have gone up a bit, but what hasn't these days? Have you checked out Disney World vacation prices? Wow! Which is a good lead-in to my point. While all-inclusives have gone up a bit, they're still a much better deal than a la carte vacations, and it's why I still focus on them on my channel, because I truly believe that now, more than ever, they're the best financial option for a vacation. Now, I'm always going to be completely honest with you guys. There are some ways you can save even more money by going to an a la carte resort, and that's by going very bare bones. Some resort suites have kitchens, so if you shop at a local grocery store and make your own meals, buy your own liquor, and skip any activities, then yes, that would probably be cheaper than an all-inclusive vacay. But I've heard from many of you that cooking is not your idea of a vacation, and when you start skipping all the extras, at what point is it even worth doing? So when you start to look at it from this perspective, the fact that all your meals, drinks, activities, and in many cases even tips are included, you really start to see that all-inclusive is still the best way to go, just from a financial perspective. And we've been on half a dozen a la carte vacations since the pandemic started, and wow, are meals crazy expensive now. So price it out if you'd like to compare, but I think you'll be shocked. All-inclusives are still a great deal, and the pandemic hasn't changed that. If anything, you'll save even more money now than before. I'm sure you've heard this next one. Don't leave your all-inclusive property. One of the big attractions of all-inclusives is that unlike regular resorts, these properties have everything you need right on site, from dining to in-house entertainment. And because of that convenience, many guests are tempted to remain on site rather than get out and explore all that the surrounding area has to offer. But as I've said in many of my reviews, these are some of the best parts of an all-inclusive vacation, and you're really missing out if you don't schedule in at least a couple of local activities during your stay. Otherwise, you're just staying at a resort like you can do anywhere. Now, I also acknowledge that we live in a different world post-pandemic, and you might be hesitant for various health and safety reasons, so this is obviously just a suggestion based on your comfort level. But I do urge you to book your activities through your all-inclusive resort, either beforehand or during your stay, for a few reasons. First and foremost, being safety. Much safer to do it this way, plus you usually save a bit of money if you book through your resort. They usually have specials running for local tourist sites. And lastly, it's super convenient. They'll almost always arrange transportation to and from, plus some all-inclusives even provide local activities free with your stay. So definitely take advantage of that whenever you can. Now, you also might hear people telling you to skip all-inclusives if you have kids. And this is definitely one of the outdated, passé pieces of advice, because let me tell you, not only have all-inclusives really started to cater to families with children in recent years, with kids and teen clubs and activities, and even dining options, all kinds of things, but you'd be surprised how many of the more upscale and luxury all-inclusive properties are now not only allowing, but catering to kids. Resorts like Hyatt Ziva have wonderful kids' facilities and activities, which definitely surprised me when we first booked a vacation there. And interestingly enough, over the past couple of years, adults-only resorts have started to become more difficult to find. I think that's why that's become a favorite on my channel, because the majority of all-inclusives now cater to families with kids. But the good news for those of you looking to travel as a family is that there are not only plenty of options, but plenty of luxury high-end options these days. So don't just assume, oh, that luxury property wouldn't be good for kids or even allow them, because things have definitely changed. And that's one of the main reasons that I always specify guest demographics in my reviews as far as what ages are allowed, and even what ages you'll usually see regardless of what's allowed, because I cannot stress this enough. It makes a huge difference in guest comfort level based on whether you want an all-inclusive experience with or without kids. Because I've seen your comments on this subject, and it's a deal breaker for many of you. Next up, winter is the best time to go on an all-inclusive vacation, or any vacation for that matter, and boy do I have a lot to say about this one. Everyone says this, and more importantly for that matter, does this. And because of that increase in demand, rates will automatically be much higher if you book during the first few months of the year. And if that's not bad enough, the resorts are just much more crowded during these months. Maybe not right now, but once travel fully reopens, that will definitely go back to being the case. Now, I do get it. We live in Florida, but I know many of you guys live in colder climates where you only have warm weather 3 or 4 months out of the year, and you just want to get away from that climate during peak winter and enjoy a tropical escape in a year-round warm location where all these resorts are. But guess what? So does everyone else. And you're really doing yourself a disservice by just focusing on those months. I always laugh because I see these travel trends year after year where there will be a frenzy over travel videos, mine included, between January and April. And then everyone just stops planning, when really you should be planning in the summer to go in the fall, which is one of the best ways to save money, as I talked about in my How to Book the Cheapest All-Inclusive Resort video. So I know at first glance, it might not seem ideal to skip the winter months, but trust me, I see everyone doing it, and it's fine if you have an unlimited budget and don't mind crowds, but otherwise, you should try to avoid those months. We live 10 minutes from Disney, and everyone books for the summer when it's 95 degrees with 1,000,000% humidity, and none of us locals want to leave the house. Just because everyone's doing it doesn't mean it's the best way to go. So I really hope this advice helps you guys in your budgeting, because it's made a really big difference for us and just elevated our overall quality of travel. And now to what is possibly the worst piece of advice I hear: book your all-inclusive stay through a third-party vendor. And now more than ever, this is a really bad idea. First of all, I get asked a lot about the best sites to book these all-inclusive vacations, and I've always told you guys directly on the resort website. And I promise you, I do not have any affiliations whatsoever with these places, but it's just common sense in the world we live in. So many things are constantly changing in the world of travel, and I've heard far too many stories of guests who've needed to change plans, whether it was because they no longer felt comfortable traveling or the situation in their destination changed, and because they booked through third party, they were stuck and lost their money. And along these lines, just be careful to not get persuaded into booking a certain place just because some of these third-party booking sites and vendors get more commission from them. And that's especially true of all-inclusive resorts. Their commissions are really high. So in many cases, they'll still get their commission, but you're out a trip and the cost. So as a general rule, I always suggest booking direct, but at the very least, until travel returns completely back to normal, I'd really caution you guys to be extra careful and avoid doing that for now. So I really hope I helped you guys with some all-inclusive resort advice. Maybe some of these things are new to you, or maybe you've heard them before and weren't sure what to think. Regardless, I hope this video will help save you lots of money and trouble. If you've received any other bad pieces of resort advice that you've had to learn the hard way, please let us know, because we can always benefit from your experience. This is Vanessa for Passport Pages. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.